We're going to dive into our live NFL mailbag here in just a second, but it is made possible by Thrive Fantasy. You can get a 100% deposit match by heading over to chatsports.com/props and use promo code CHAT100. It is all caps. We'll put the link in the comments and in the description. It's chatsports.com/props. And use the promo code that you see on screen, CHAT100. Pretty simple. Game start at $5. They'll give you a bunch of over-unders for various big-time players, and you make your bets.
Think fantasy football meets over-under prop bets. It's a lot of fun. Check it out, chatsports.com/props.
First up from Emmanuel Brito, Trey Lance over Justin Fields, a draft question here. I'll take this one, Harrison, as the big draft nerd here. I'm still going to take Justin Fields. I do think that, frankly, Fields is closer to Trey Lance or is closer to Trevor Lawrence than he is Trey Lance, and that's saying that really good player we've seen in Trevor Lawrence. I like Trey Lance, but I think Fields is better.
Yeah, I think Fields is better. I think it's Lawrence 1, Fields 2, Lance 3. Pretty simple for me.
All right, from my burner account, any chance Dak tries to leave Dallas after this season? Thoughts, Harrison?
I mean, it's not really his say, right? The Cowboys can just tag him again. He can't just be like, hey, I'm signing with Chicago or something like that. I think the Cowboys tag him. Now, maybe if he goes to them and is like, hey, trade me for 2 firsts, and he makes it clear he doesn't want to be there, but it's not the NBA. It doesn't really work like that in the NFL. Plus, I don't think he wants to leave. I think he wants to be a Dallas Cowboy. I think he'll be there next year. It's just a matter of if it's on the tag or if it's with a new deal.
From Ozone 23, now that the trade deadline is over, will Earl Thomas get signed? This is a good question, Harrison.
Yeah, I just wonder, now that the deadline has passed, we didn't see any safeties be on the move here for Earl Thomas during the deadline. None of those guys got moved. I think Earl Thomas could maybe start to get some interest. It's been quiet for like 2 months now. It's been very, very quiet around one of the best in his generation at this position. I mean, sure, in 2019, Tom, he kind of started just doing whatever the hell he wanted in Baltimore. Obviously, he's got the off-field concerns there, but you're telling me he's not a top 10 free safety in the NFL? I mean, somebody could use this guy. If Antonio Brown can get signed, I think Earl Thomas can be a guy as well. But again, not a lot of chatter right now.
It's really weird, right? And there was the report of, hey, Houston's going to bring him in for a visit, and that kind of fell through. And obviously, there's always been stuff going around with him and the Dallas Cowboys, and now the Cowboys are bad at football. So I think this is a great question, and I want to get your guys' votes here as well. Will Earl Thomas play this season? It'll be the pinned comment, so go get your votes in down there. Y for yes, N for no. Harrison, what are you thinking here?
I'm going to go no. There's no chatter at all. I'm typing my N. I think he'll play again in the NFL. Don't think it'll be in 2020.
Maybe you see a yes if a contending team loses a safety and they say, okay, let's bring in Earl.
It's going to have to be a major injury.
All right, so keep your votes coming in there. Y for yes or N for no. From Evan Scott, are the Colts the most underappreciated team?
Underappreciated team. Think about that. There's some consider. I definitely think they're flying under the radar. Maybe a lot of that's market-based, Tom. Indy, smaller market. Phillip Rivers in a Colts uniform, kind of a weird deal. They're more of a defensive team now, whereas with Luck, I think people watched them more because they were entertaining, but they couldn't stop anybody. I would say they're one of those teams who's most underappreciated. Trying to think of another one here.
I think because they lost early in the year against the Indianapolis or against the Jacksonville Jags,
people just wrote them off.
They forgot about them. And they're playing very well. They're technically tied for the division lead. I think they are a little bit underappreciated right now. All right, from Mason, was it a mistake to not trade Stephon Gilmore? I know he's a valuable player, but draft capital rules all.
Is it a mistake not to trade? I don't think it's a mistake. Look, if you don't get a first-rounder for him, you don't trade him. He's that valuable. He's only 30. It's not like he's 34 and his value is never going to be higher. Now, that could be the case. Maybe he falls off a cliff next year or something like that. But you don't trade your superstars just to trade them.
Exactly.
I'm a firm believer in that. It's not like the Patriots are the Jags where they're 3 years away. If all their players that opted out come back next year and are still good players and you get a good quarterback and maybe a weapon or two on offense, Why can't that team win 11 games?
I think that because he's also under contract next year, you don't have to panic.
If he's a rental, sure, trade him for a second.
Yeah, but I think because you have time, you don't have to give up on him quite yet. So I don't think they got great offers. I'd have kept him too. Matthew Frey, when do the Steelers get their first loss? You think they lose this week, Harrison?
Who do they play? Remind me.
Cowboys.
No. Bet on the if you're a betting man out there, bet on Pittsburgh.
I'll break down their schedule here. It is on the road against the Cowboys this week, at the Bengals, or excuse me, home against the Bengals the next week.
Be a trap game maybe. They're
at Jacksonville, home against the Ravens. Maybe that one?
I'll say Baltimore. They'll be 10-0 and then they'll lose.
And then they have Washington, Buffalo, Cincinnati, Indy, and the Browns to end the season. They're going to win double digits, guys, pretty easily.
Yeah, they'll be 12
They
to 13.
might start the year 10-0.
Maybe 13-3. I think that's what I projected them on our playoff projections. And you guys thought I was crazy, but Pittsburgh's pretty good.
All right, Cleo Lemon with a fantasy question here. #NFL. I have Ryan Tannehill against Chicago and Josh Allen against the Seahawks. Who should I start? Harrison, I got thoughts here, but I want to hear you first.
That's Dolphins legend Cleo Lemon, by the way. They've both been pretty damn good this year. Now, Allen started off red hot, and he's faded a bit, still putting up good numbers overall. We got the fantasy comparison there, too. That's for, like, general ESPN leagues. They're averaging about 22 and a half a game there. Both have been really good. Both are on contending teams. I like Allen's matchup against Seattle much better. I think that's a high-scoring affair. Tannehill will put up good numbers against Chicago, I believe, but Chicago does a good job of keeping teams out of the end zone. They give up yards, but they don't give up a lot of touchdowns. They're number one in red zone defense since week 3, so I would go Josh Allen here.
Now, I think you're right there, Harrison. I completely agree, and our friends over at Thrive Fantasy agree. Here are the projected passing yards for both players, which, of course, you can do as part of their prop games. 279.5 for Josh Allen, all the way down to 247.5 for Ryan Tannehill. So, purely from a fantasy perspective, probably playing Allen, right?
By the way, Allen runs for more, so I would go Allen this week.
Now, if you want to place some wagers yourself here, do it with Thrive Fantasy. Chatsports.com/props. Again, think of this as fantasy football meets NFL prop bets. You can get a 100% deposit match when you use promo code CHAT100. Games start at just $5. You pick 10 out of 20 props on the over-unders on various player stats. It's super easy. Heck, even producer Dylan won money this week.
It's a lot of fun. You enter games with a bunch of other people who enter these contests, and you pick 10 props out of 20 that are being offered, like over-under pass yards for Mahomes, over-under receiving yards for Tyreek Hill, whatever it is. You take the over or the under, and if you hit on a lot of them, you're going to make yourself some money and get that 100% deposit bonus. Chat 100, all caps. Get going at chatsports.com/props.
We'll make sure that link's in the comments, by the way, for you guys, and in the description. Richard Lee wants to know Dak to the Niners in the offseason.
I know that the Dak offseason stuff's going to be fun, and it's going to be great for business, baby. But it's 95% he's with Dallas next year, maybe even higher.
I think where things could get off the rails for Dak and the Cowboys is if they are in Justin Fields territory.
That would be the one change. If
it would be in a trade.
If Dallas goes 3-13, which I mean could happen, and could legitimately get the number 2 or 3 pick and take Justin Fields, that could change things. But I still think I'd put it at 90% at minimum that Dak's in Dallas next year.
From my burner account, is it too early to say that Baker Mayfield is a bust?
I don't think he's a bust. And I'm the biggest Baker hater in the office. Look,
we got Oklahoma homer Sam back there went,
No one hates Baker Mayfield more than me. Maybe producer Dylan's a close second. I just don't, at the end of the day, maybe he's a bust for a number 1 pick status, but he's still a starting level quarterback, and that's hard to find in the NFL. Maybe he's a low level starter, but he is a starter.
Look, you saw a great rookie year, terrible last year, and he's been super inconsistent this season.
Somewhere in the middle.
Which Baker shows up from week to week. Like that, I think it is too early to call him a bust, but I don't think you're as confident as you were after his first year.
He's in that category of you need the right pieces around him. You look at the games they win. When he throws under 27 passes, they usually win. When you ask him to do too much, they usually lose. So what does that tell you? When he's managing the game, he's more effective, which means he's got limited upside.
All right, from Cooper Sproul, who do you think is better, Sam Darnold or one Dwayne Haskins?
This has been a theme for about a month, it seems like. I'm still going to gamble on Darnold, but even I've been a Darnold apologist for a while. the more I watch him, like, yeah, the Jets are a dumpster fire, but it's not like he's creating solutions either. The great ones do, and he can't. I'll lean Darnold, but not confident either way. I would punt if I'd rather take my chances elsewhere.
I think that I would go Darnold here, but I think you're right. Punting is maybe a little bit better option. Now, speaking of Sam Darnold, the Jets are terrible at football this year. What is more likely to occur? The Steelers go 16-0, or the Jets go 0-16?
I think it's got to be the Jets because the Steelers have squeaked by a few times, and they don't look like a team that's going to go 16-0. They look like a big-time contender, but they're flawed. I mean, they probably should have lost that Ravens game if Lamar didn't keep throwing pick sixes in that one. So I'm going to go Jets 0-16 as weird as that sounds. I think that's more likely. I don't think either will happen.
I'm watching the live chat right now. It is all NYJ. I haven't seen a single Pitt. I think you're right. I think the Jets make a lot more sense there. But get your votes in. Pitt for the Steelers, NYJ for the Jets. From Antonio June, should I start J.K. Dobbins in fantasy this week against the Indianapolis Colts?
J.K.'s entering must-start territory, but the Colts might be one of the few teams you sit him against because that's
good defense.
That's a damn good defense.
Although that's also what I thought I got Matt Stafford and Carson Wentz. Well, Wentz is playing the Cowboys, Stafford's playing the Colts, and I lost because of it.
That's why it's called fantasy football, Tom. You just never know.
From my burner account, who is the more overpaid quarterback, Carson Wentz or Kirk Cousins?
I'm still going Cousins. They did not have to pay him. Their offseason approach.
They extended him to save money in the short term, and it really bit them in the butt.
Yeah, that has not paid off for him. I'll go Kirk Cousins. I think he's definitely overpaid. You know what's underpaid?
You know who's been worse though?
What?
Wentz has been worse this year.
And they're both been bad.
Yeah.
Those guys are overpaid. We're underpaid at Chat Sports because it's free for you guys. You don't have to pay when you subscribe. A lot of these outlets, they make their business by subscriptions. We don't.
We're free, guys.
We're free, 100% free.
We're not charging you money. We're live all the time. Daily videos around the NFL.
We're asking you to click one button.
Yeah, just click play, and there you guys go. So
play and subscribe.
If that's something you want. And subscribe. Good point there.
That's the button I was going for.
That's my bad. I
2 buttons.
Better by you, Harrison. Better by you there. Hit the big red button and subscribe. We are not going anywhere. Consistently giving you guys the latest on the NFL.
For free.
From Nicholas Earl Thomas to the Tennessee Titans.
Earl Thomas. A couple of questions around him in this one.
Makes sense.
I think they are the type of team that could make sense. A team that they're a contender, but they're not we think we can win the Super Bowl with what we have. If you feel like Earl Thomas can get you to that level, maybe it's worth a swing.
Thomas is an interesting fit for Tennessee. Look, he's a free safety by trade, and because of that, I kind of wonder if that's something that they'd actually want to pursue. They have an all-pro in Kevin Byard at free safety, and I guess you could figure out a way to play him and rotate in Kenny Vaccaro, but I like Kenny Vaccaro, so maybe, but I don't know if it's a perfect position scheme match. From PS4 VR, which team has the best chance of winning the Super Bowl, and what is that percent chance?
I still think it's the Chiefs, Tom, and I'm not convinced it's really that close. I think they're the most talented team, and when they're focused, and they always...
I'll take the field, though.
Yeah, sure. If you're betting, take the field, of course. But if you have to pick one team, the Chiefs are the example, or the team, and here's why. They have the most talent. They have the best quarterback. They may have the best head coach at this time, and that defense is good. People don't want to say it. They have a really good defense now. They are a complete football team. And one thing about the Chiefs, they might fart around, lose a couple of games. Big games, they always show up, and they always play well.
What's the percent chance, though, of it happening?
To win the Super Bowl?
Yeah.
I'll put it like 8%.
Okay, that's
which
fair.
Is pretty high for one
10.
team. 8 to 10. I mean,
I'm
I
glad
think
you came in that low.
Yeah, I'm not going to say like 30%. That's outrageous. There's 32 NFL teams.